still in your shoulder. So you see, if I speed it up, it's not going to be good, okay? Right?
Hi.
Okay. Wait. Your kemi can't be on limb strength. That's resistance. Your kemi is on center expansion. Okay? Got it. You have to come and finish this the same as all the other things. Knees on the ground. Okay? You're coming in and you're moving the center. So this is kind of just giving you one little opening. The elbow is now more effective in moving the center directly. That's taking the other one, but you don't want to make it an arm technique. You created the movement now for the body to be directly influenced. So don't travel and make this an arm geometry, a leverage technique. You want to think of it more as a hip move. Okay? So, slide opening, continuing the opening on the elbow, and once you have it, you're moving in through the center. Doing it again. Okay, so you fight the archer, not the arrow. That's why I don't do the arm. Okay? If I'm coming and she tries to grab my arm and do an arm bar, go ahead. I'm just going to sit here. It's very hard to control arms on someone who doesn't want to have their arm control. You're moving center. You're attacking center, okay? If I'm going into the center, I'm not going to go into the center and then come back and try and get that arm again. I prioritize the archer, not the arrow, okay? So the same thing, if she tries to prioritize, she's got the body here, and now let's say she goes to do the arm again, just the arm, go hard, hard. It's not going to work, okay? It tends to work because uke in the Aikido culture just lays down and takes a rest. But if you look at me, there is nothing holding me still to this position in the mat, you see? So if she pulls the arm, I can move any number of ways. Go, go. Okay? But uke is always just so happy to lay down that it works. My goal, tactically, is to come in. Boom! She's the one. Her arm just happens to be in the way. So I have to deal with it. If her arm collapsed, boom! Okay? Knee on stomach. Do what I have to do. There's no reason to go out. So she has to give me a reason, and that's the arm. Okay? Now I can't pull it because then I violate that first tactical consideration. So I go in and around it. And that's what makes them. So follow this angle down. Boom. In. Bring your foot in to see if it's mushy and I can keep attacking. When it's not mushy, then I go around it. So my pattern is in, continue in, I feel, oh, obstacle, then I go around it. Down I go. All right, let's go. Right. So I'm not doing the, the Dan Shihan. Oh, God. You know what I mean? They like don't give you any of the technique. You understand? It's like you didn't do anything, but they're like, okay, bullshit. So I gave him that, you see? It's not quite there, is it? Right? Because he has to have his base. But I'm giving it to him. I'm just doing whatever he's doing. So let's do that. You saw me do a little step, right? Because he only took about 4 inches of entry. Put your foot back. If he enters that much, he's not going to push me over that leg. So I'm just doing what he's doing. Push. There, he got a little. Okay? But not all my center. Right? Of course, I can bring my leg back in. But I'm not here to subvert everything he's doing. Okay? So he's going out a little bit. So you see my center didn't move. All he did was move my arm, right? So that's all I do. He goes. You gotta figure out how to move me. A little bigger. A little better. Not this, or this. Okay? Let him learn. There, you gotta get my body to move. Alright, so that angle doesn't work, right? Why don't you watch me? I'm gonna help you. Why don't you stop? Why don't you roll this way? Ta-da. Your same situation, where are you showing? Nope, forward. So you two are closing the hip. You're closing the hip. The hip's closed. Now you're coming in, and what you're going to end up doing is you're going to push. Go ahead and position that. Okay, so I would have the arm, right? Just position that, and the leg is up. Okay? And all you're going to do is push this over. And all they have to do is hop. Back in that position. What you want to do instead is that go-to topsy-turvy effect that we always do. So it's the same geometry of the forward roll. She has to be on a diagonal, and the feet have to travel in contrast to the head on that diagonal. Okay? So if you look at when she does the forward roll, this hip can't be down. This hip, to follow that same path I just did with the head and feet, this hip has to go around that way. You understand? So if I do the arm bar, look, I put that hip down. You see? And now I just have arm control. That's all I have. And if you're strong enough, and if they don't mind lying down for you, it works. But you shouldn't train for people that you're stronger and people who don't mind being in. Right? So what you have to do is you have to leave that hip open. You have to get your hip in there before it closes. Okay? If you exaggerate it, and we'll close that hip all the way with a step forward, that hip's closed all the way. Do you see that? That is the ura-e opening. You don't do omote when that foot goes forward, because the hip's closed all the way. And if you find that you close that hip all the way Here, you should do an ura variation. Don't come in for omote, or you're violating the first tenet, which is you're fighting the arrow, not the archer. So that hip cannot be closed. That means don't push this arm so far forward. Try to look what I'm doing instead. I'm holding it. I'm positioning her on my hip. And then I use the arm to do what I was doing with that push of her head and foot. That creates the topsy-turvy effect. That gives me the opening, boom, onto her center. Versus fighting her, chasing her down this way at an angle. The move is over. Boom, I'm now attacking. Okay? So, why am I pinning the person? Why? Let's just make a kind of tactical capturing of time and space. And I can think ahead a little and I know it's a pin. Why am I pinning them? Well, okay. I can't throw them and they can't attack anymore. So let's look at for one at a time. They can't attack anymore. In that question, it doesn't seem to ask nor answer, why do you pin versus throw or strike? Is it not true that if I throw or strike or choke out some other thing, that I can also achieve them not attacking anymore? Okay? So when I now ask the question, why am I pinning them? I'm kind of in an unsaid way asking, why am I not throwing them? Why am I not striking them? Why am I not choking them? Okay? To achieve these tactical ends. So I'll ask that question again, but you're going to hear me unsaid. Why am I pinning them? And you said, because you can't throw them. Okay? Why can't I throw them?
I guess because they're in some way hindering the architecture or weapons you need in order to throw them.
Okay, so then in your reasoning there's an assumption that's in place. I'm not saying it's wrong, but there's an assumption that I do select one means, whether it be striking, pinning, choking, etc., against another, because one is better suited for whatever ends I want than the other ones are. And better suited we will, just for the sake of now, define as just more efficient, okay, or more possible, or a higher percentage of achievement. Okay, are you fine with that? All right, so why can't I throw them specifically? What is in the way of me throwing them? They're what? They're what?
Immovable?
Well, if they're do I not have to move them to pin them? So that's not it.
Is it that they've presented a threat to you that you have to address before you could move into a threat?
Well, don't I do throws against threats presented to me? So that's not it. Koshinage is even closer, and that's a throw. Well, if I'm doing the technique, okay, and I come in here, is that a throw? Do you qualify that as a throw?
Is it that maybe you tried to throw, but they were still there, so to speak? They were still connected to you and not being thrown?
I would say that's on the right track. Okay? Because I am attempting to throw. There's tactical advantages to throwing over pinning. Right? One is I'm not close. I have to be close to be injured. You see? It's the whole logic behind why we moved from sword fighting to firearms. You don't have to be close anymore. And why we go from firearms to missiles. Yeah, I can be far away. And why we go from jet fighters to drones. The pilot is even further away. Okay? It's not even with the weapons. So I have to be close in order to be injured. So tactically that would mean throwing is a pretty good option. Which would mean pinning has to come after the fact. And if I think about it a little bit, it's easier to pin somebody who's falling than it is to force someone down from a standing position. Okay? And I also know from my trapping training that it's hard as hell to catch an arm when someone doesn't want their arm caught. In Aikido, Kihon Waza, arms are there all the time for you. Okay? But in real life, they're moving. They're moving either to hit you, they're moving to pull out of your grip, or they're just moving because the person is trying to keep their own balance. And due to their own personal history, which you have no exposure to, because they're not a uke that you train with all your life, right? Or 10 years or 5 years, they put their arms wherever they want. So the arm is moving. The idea of catching this arm in mid-space for you to pin is just ludicrous. And what I find when in training law enforcement, that's one of the biggest things that causes a kink in what they're trying to do. They're trying to control this arm, which is hard as hell to control. And it doesn't matter how big or small the person is. The damn thing's moving. Okay? So, if I have the idea that I'm supposed to fight her, not the arm, and if I have the idea that I am aware how hard it is to trap arms and to control arms that don't want to be controlled, either intentionally or unintentionally, okay? And I know that I'm going to move in on them, and I know that it's better to get them away from me than to fight them up close and let the ground do its ballistic damage and effect on their body. Why do I do this? Because the arm is there. So my grip is not a dead grip. If you saw the couple reps, my hands are just checking the elbow. So as I come in, I'm just checking the elbow, so to speak. Okay? And then that arm is still there, and I am still here. You got it? She did not go flying away. This arm did not collapse, so I can't come into the center. But she's right on me, so the other arm can grab, oh crap. See? So I'm going to use this now, but not in a let me grab the arm way, just in a way of closing off that shoulder. So I don't like to see your Ikkyo like this. It's tactically inferior. Archer coming into the center. You see? Now I realize, oh, we're close, and I go around the energy. Then here I have a kokyu repetition. Okay? Heaviness, settle, body organization. It's not a pin. Nobody's going to stay there because you did that on their arm. Okay, try it. No, it's true he's got a lot of, he's got a lot of unnecessary tension to drink with, okay? But when you coming around, again, don't point that hip down. Your hip has to be in front, okay? Boom. Oh, no, that's too much giving up. It'll be about there, okay? My goal is to come in. This is where everything is, okay? This is where the back mount, Backward we work. Okay? It's forward. You see how that damn arm is still there, right? So I'm here, I'm going to come in. Oh, nope, I didn't get him, but the damn arm is still there. That's how I do it. Okay?
Nick,
Watch how I don't even hold. Oh, that one did hit you. No. Just come in, that's all the opening you need, underneath. Boom, straight in, there's that arm, and I bring it around. You guys still want this arm so bad. I'd rather have his face. Boom. Pop. Boom. Oh, there it is. Okay?
Hi.
Any questions? Comment. I mean, we didn't talk about everything. It's just some of the things you were saying about doing this technique. These tend to be the common problem areas for most people, because most people haven't asked even those few questions we ask. Why am I doing that? Why not this? Okay. What is my assumption? What is the ending? So I kind of breezed over it, right? The ending I told you is not a pin. What did I call it? Yeah, it's a kokyu repetition. It's just working on kokyu. You will not pin anybody by holding their arm down like that. And so I know that. Just like that. You'll have people who will like turn the arm, and this person is very sensitive to pain usually, and so they go ah, and they don't move. Okay. Or you'll have people who will do another pain thing over here with the wrist, okay? And again, they are sensitive to pain, most Aikido practitioners, and so they tap out. But that would make it a pain compliance move, okay? It would be no different in essence if I pull her hair. Meaning, she wants me to stop hurting her. So that's why I'm actually picking the head up, aren't I? Okay? There's nothing there, so if we go, there's nothing there at all that stops me from turning over. Because pins work in a dynamic fashion. The idea that you're going to stop reality once and for all and hold it still, isn't that kind of strange? Once I start moving at all, I change the geometry. So right now, she's got her weight under her, right? But now does she? No, I'm starting to move. I'm starting to move it. Pin down as hard as you can. Jonathan, come push your shoulders down. Okay, oh, that's heavy. I just moved it, okay? And in that ability to move it, the effectiveness of the pin is gone. And it allows me to move more parts of my body, you see? And once I do that, I start to deconstruct the pin even more. Even more, even more, even more. Pins and locks are just moments in time-space. And you should think of them as a kind of controlling of a larger portion of mass from a smaller portion of mass. That's what a pin is. It's not a permanent fixture. Okay? So that means there should be a pinning element in my nugget too. Because I should be controlling a smaller part to move a larger part. Got it? Okay, so if I have that assumption and I see this goofy ass thing at the end, I should be asking, what is that about? What's going on there? Because nobody in their right mind would ever think that that's an actual pin. And by right mind, I mean a person who actually studied and questioned and theorized and reflected upon what is pinning. You see, no one ever do that. or somebody who attempted to do it in real life with enough times against resistant people, they too would go, that does not work. But the person who doesn't see it through doesn't then ask, well, what is it for then? What is a pin? They just go, Aikido doesn't work. Or that pin doesn't work. That's not it. It's just that wasn't a pin at all. But the Kokyu organization, I do use that in pinning, if once I understand what pinning is. And I do use that when I bring that pinning element into my Nagewaza. I now see that that is the best way of practicing what pinning truly is. Okay? It's kind of like that thing I posted today about the argument of what is the genie. If you haven't seen that yet. If you were truly interested in that question, you wouldn't stop there. You wouldn't say it sucks. You would try and figure out what's what. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Since I noticed, well, I feel like I don't know if it's my timing or something is just really off. And I noticed the most in this drill that we did fairly recently with my weapons classes, where I would ski, but I wouldn't time the step with the ski, and so when we were doing it to like push each other back, like it was all arms with me, all arms. Man, what the heck is this? And then later Myra kind of showed me how to like get, I guess, more of a timing stuff, like more driving it with my body. And I feel like that's also translating into my Nagewaza, like the timing's wrong or I'm moving incorrectly to where also probably not the right places, but it's all like compounded into I don't have a base, and I end up stepping places because I'm getting like off my base and having to catch
So
myself.
remember where I told you you were working with Jake, and I said you've got to stay up so that the arm would be there. Remember that correction? Okay, so that meant that you're out of the technique. You're far. Because I said stay up. That means you're not staying up. That means you're out of the technique. Okay. The reason you're out of the technique is because you're using a different mechanical organization to move Jake. Right? You're using one where you push against him with your hands, okay? Versus one where you push against the ground, and because you moved, he moved. All right, so that looks like this. Give us some room. Okay, so here like this, and this is, you see my bracing angle, okay? And you start to, your arms start to lengthen, okay? Well, the unsaid resultant of that is that your body is moving further away. So if I start to bend my arms, you see how much closer I am to her. So when I extend my arms like that, I'm moving things further from me, okay? This, if you look at my body, I have a bracing angle. That's no difference when we do the Kokyu training elements and you're doing this, which now becomes exposed when she lets go fast, you'll fall forward. Same kind of thing. Cross grab, you come like this, and if they fall forward, you kind of do that stumbling, which you also do, right? Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're doing it on this step or if you're doing it on this step. It's still going to be the same, okay? So what's happening is that you're using your feet as a bracing angle to push your shoulders into them, right? Versus grounding. So I'm here and I'm grounding onto the back foot. So the back foot is going to move. Please try to stay with me. I know it's hard. The back foot is pushing my body, not my falling. The back foot is pushing my body. The front foot, please. Can you feel your balance board, please? Okay. The back foot is pushing. Then the front, here's where you stop and you start to get a bracing angle. But I'm going to push onto the front foot, which is now pushing. You see? So when you do the Joe drills, and she's She's representing the resistance, okay? If I try to do that against that body, and I try to walk, I'll never get past this foot. She's a weak point. The more I bring the foot forward, the more I fall back. I have to shift weight from this foot, pull onto this foot, so I can walk. This way. No, I have to shift, shift, shift. If she lets go at any moment, okay. So you're not grounding, you're pushing. You can come on.
Don't touch the camera.
So we have to work on that.